Gun Meme Review. What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers, and welcome back to another episode of Gun Meme Review. On this episode, the very same government that doesn't trust you to be able to safely own an AR-15 just lost an F-35 next-generation fighter jet, and then had the audacity to ask for your help to go find it. On top of that, Donald Trump shares the album cover of the year in the form of his mugshot, and as a bonus meme, you know, as a treat, Putin shot a political adversary out of the air with a fucking missile, and everybody just went, yeah. All this and more in this episode of Gun Meme Review, so let's go ahead and get cracking. So yeah, if you didn't see the news last week, apparently the US military completely lost track of an F-35. It was kind of a big deal for a day or two. The F-35, of course, being the fifth generation fighter jet that apparently has cost us $460 billion to develop and produce so far, with an apparent suspected total cost of $1.7 trillion. Be sure to leave cookies and milk out for Lockheed this Christmas. What happened was, some sort of mechanical failure happened with the aircraft that apparently auto-ejected the pilot, which led to one of the most entertaining 911 calls of all time.
911, what's the address of the emergency? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I guess we got a pilot at our house and he says he got ejected. So he ejected from the plane, so we just see if we could get some ambulance, please.
I'm sorry, what happened?
Yeah, that's right. In a true case of life imitating art, this was basically the opening scene of Top Gun 2. But now the big problem. Dude, where's my jet? Military personnel seen wandering forest pressing button on F-35 key fob. This is like leaving a movie theater not remembering where you parked, but on steroids. Shout out to missing F-35 fighter planes. Gotta be one of my favorite genders. F-35 pilot trying to figure out what maneuver his wingman just did. He can't find him. Gotta consult the user manual, it's in there somewhere. Also imagine the awkwardness of actually being his wingman, watching his plane auto-eject him and wondering, are you next? The 19-year-old USMC flight controller after scrolling Haley Lujan content for 30 minutes just to realize he is no longer tracking an F-35 on radar. Wake up. She's a PSYOP. Although in this case just an army PSYOP fucking with the Marine Corps, I guess. But now the real question. Where the fuck did the F-35 go? Drake, where's the F-35? Now I solved this problem a lot earlier than everyone else thanks to my crippling gunbroker addiction because I saw that it was clearly listed for $80 million. Slightly used, with a starting bid of $75 million, which makes it a steal compared to the eBay listing of the same type for $80 million. Plus, of course, $5.50 for shipping. Gun grabbers, your AR-15 is useless against the military. The military. Hey, you guys haven't seen an F-35 laying around anywhere, have you? Yeah, that was a fun one. Remember when the president literally said that our AR-15s are useless because, we would need F-15s to fight the military?
Those who say the blood of patriots, and all this stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government. Well, the tree of liberty is not water with the blood of patriots. What's happened is that there never been, if you want to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons.
First of all, bold assumption they'd side with you. Second of all, the last 70 years of warfare has proved that that's a lie. Now, while we're going through all this gun meme goodness, it's important to remember who keeps the lights on. In the case of this video, it's actually a great sponsor called Cultivate. Cultivate is a browser extension that brings transparency to consumers as they shop on Amazon by showing them brand, seller, product origin, while showing them cheaper prices on same or similar products, or local alternatives that can be picked up same day or shipped. You're supporting your local economy, keeping your prices cheaper, and keeping your money here in the US. Last time we talked about them, I was showing how I was buying an EOTech from Amazon. The Cultivate browser was able to tell us that the EOTech we were looking at was in fact made right here in the United States, in Michigan. That's something I can personally attest to since a couple of months ago I actually went to the EOTech facility in Michigan. Cultivate is super easy to download and it's actually a genuinely useful extension. In fact, Cultivate alternatives are on average 30% less expensive than Amazon products and can usually be picked up same day or shipped within 48 hours, and that's without Amazon Prime. Best of all, it's completely free to download and use. Look, in today's day and age when more than 50% of US-based Amazon users are actually based out of China, Cultivate might be worth looking into. If you're interested in checking them out, all the links are down in the description and in the pinned comment. We greatly appreciate Cultivate helping keep the lights on. Back to the memes. If you manage to lose an $80 million fighter jet, you don't get to lecture anyone about responsible gun ownership. More to that point, citizens aren't responsible enough to handle military hardware. Cops losing their firearms on duty, missing weapons in the military, 1,300 M16s in Texas, F-35, 32 broken arrows. Broken arrow, as we talked about in the NC Nukes video, is when you fucking straight up lose a nuclear weapon. Afghanistan, 2021. You know that cool part where we gave a bunch of military issue night vision and PECs and all sorts of really cool stuff over straight to the Taliban? Well, we didn't do it. The Biden administration did it. Which really brings up an interesting point. Because, the gun grabbers, or the, common sense gun control crowd really likes to, bring up a lot of things as far as background checks, which for one already exist. Anytime you buy a gun from a gun dealer or anything, you are doing a background check. It's literally against the law for you to not do one. The gun dealer will lose their license if they don't. But they say that the government needs to enforce enhanced background checks and really just crack down on who's eligible to own a firearm. The only problem is the government that they're holding responsible for doing that couldn't even come close to passing that background check themselves. Whether it be intentional, with things like Wounded Knee, the worst shooting in US history, or the unintentional, which happens damn near daily. Whether it's Operation Fast and Furious, accidentally funneling guns straight to the cartel, or just straight up losing a fucking F-35 5th-gen fighter. There is good news to the story, though, because now we know that the F-35 is in good hands. Specifically Matt's from Demolition Ranch.
The newest addition to the arsenal! You can't have this! I have this! Give me an F-35 user manual so I can fly this bad boy!
Jokes, of course, they really did find the wreckage there in South Carolina, or rather a debris field of what used to be a very, very expensive airplane. So if you live in that area of South Carolina, you definitely shouldn't be checking around in the woods in that area just to potentially see some unaccounted for government goodies. Because after all, you as the taxpayer don't own them in a roundabout way anyway. That's not real advice, by the way. Uncle Sam doesn't play that. Be a lot cooler if he did. Now, if you have the toxic trait of thinking that you could figure out how to fly an F-35 if you found it in the woods, go ahead and join the club. And by that, of course, I mean subscribe. I mean, it's free, and if you click that notification bell next to it, you won't even miss an episode. So now onto something that I've been wanting to cover for a little while. We just couldn't because the last gun meme review we did, of course, was about the Liberty Safe debacle, which, if you haven't seen that, was quite the shit show. But anyhow, what I wanted to cover were some memes revolving around some American political news, mostly around the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, being indicted on criminal charges. Again, it's almost as if the political elite really don't like this fucking guy. I wonder why. But what was really unique about this particular incident was that it came with a very special present for all memers everywhere, a mugshot. This was one of the most widely publicized photos in internet history. The left shared it because haha, Orange Man finally went down for his crimes. The right, of course, shared it to demonstrate how much Trump was being railroaded by deep state entities right before a presidential election. Everyone else shared it because, well, let's be honest, the memes were hilarious. OMG, it even has a watermark. When she says yours is perfect, the big ones hurt.
Emotional damage!
POV, you're my anti-gun aunt telling me that owning a handgun should be a felony. I have a Glock 34 on my person right in this moment. We've all been there on this one. Not with aunts specifically, I love all my aunts. We've all had that awkward moment where somebody doesn't think you should have the right to own a gun, and then you go in for a hug to, end the engagement, and they feel your holstered weapon. There's kind of the unspoken, we're just not going to talk about that kind of face exchange. Ringing up the $15 scope rings I specifically told the customer not to buy for his 7mm Magnum. And of course, when the same customer misses his trophy buck this season, he's going to blame the rifle for shooting low and left. To anyone who's ever worked in a gun store, the last sentence I just said was painful. Jesse, we need to build a wall, Jesse. There's so much shit you could do with this template, I swear, it's fucking great. The non-binary barista watching me press no tip after ordering a $13 iced matcha latte. Matcha. Call me uncultured swine, I have no fucking clue how to say that. Although I do hate that trend now. It's like I'm not actually getting service, I'm ordering an item. An item that a particular business has for sale. You're not waiting on me, you're not bussing my table, you're not calling me sugar and making me feel at home like a 3 a.m. Waffle House waitress. You're selling me an item and swiveling an iPad. When the hell did we start tipping those people? When the FUD RO snitches to the ATF about your bump stock.
You weren't supposed to do that.
That face you make when a blue-haired they-them shows up to the public range with a sub 2000. Thankfully, if that ends up becoming a problem, the boys at Nashville Metro PD are there to make sure that it ceases to be one. And of course, my personal favorite of all of these memes, what the chicken nuggets in my microwave see at 3 a.m. Fun fact, your mother was probably right about you not standing too close to the microwave. If you could put your cell phone inside the microwave, close the door, and then walk away and have somebody text you or call you, and that signal still gets through, there's a lot of radiation still leaking out of that microwave. So protect the brain basket. This message brought to you by the Association for the Safe Consumption of Chicken Nuggies. I'm all for the Second Amendment, but all of our faces immediately. But if you're not only for the Second Amendment, but you're also interested in getting your start in gunsmithing and weapons technology, I'd recommend you check out SDI.edu. They're a big sponsor of the channel. We have their links down in the description and in the pinned comment, and we appreciate them helping us keep the lights on. Now, as we move on, I just want to give you guys a quick update. As you guys probably know by now, a few weeks ago, I actually announced that I'm running for Congress. That's why I'm running for Congress. Realistically, I was just tired of feeling like I was all talk online and not actually putting my money where my mouth is. So I became a primary challenger to my congressman, Tony Gonzalez, who is, by all accounts, a bad Republican. He voted with Biden on gun control, has opposed measures to actually secure the border, and if I may speak freely, all around just hella unbased. But most importantly, he's never had a real serious primary challenger since he was elected, meaning he can just continue to make bad votes thinking that his job is secure. I wanted to make sure he knew that that was not the case. But to give you guys a serious update, we have a fantastic team working with us now. A lot of experienced professionals who not only have a history running races, but winning them. And our fundraising is doing better than I ever expected. Our current fundraising quarter is coming to an end, and with only about 6 weeks of actual fundraising, we've gotten about a $350,000 head start. That's with no big corporate donors, no super PACs, that's all just grassroots you guys. I won't really harp on it anymore here in this video. It's not really the time and place, but I did just want to say thank you guys so much for the support that you've shown. We are really showing Tony that I am, in fact, serious about coming for his job. Our fundraising goal is to get above the 400,000 mark by October 1st. So if you can, please consider contributing at BrandonHerreraForCongress.com/donate. It's about time we had a real pro-Second Amendment candidate fighting for you in Congress. And if you'd like to see my stances on other issues, you can go ahead and go to BrandonHerreraForCongress.com. And if you're not in a position to financially contribute, what you can do is help spread the word. The links are in the description and in the pinned comment. I appreciate your support more than you know. Now that the serious part is over, back to the silly shit. So on to the bonus memes. Now I know I'm bringing up the whole Russo-Ukraine war thing, but you remember that Wagner coup that happened a few months ago? Where Wagner Group, basically the Blackwater of Russia, decided, we're kind of sick of this shit, and they ended up switching teams. Putin started fortifying Moscow, Wagner took positions within Russia itself. Things got a little tense. But good news, everything came to a peaceful resolution. Favorable terms were agreed to, Wagner essentially got moved over to Belarus for the time being, and Putin completely forgave the head of Wagner Group for ever threatening to undermine his leadership. So that didn't happen. So the leader of Wagner Group is the gentleman by the name of, I'm gonna try not to butcher this, my Russian is not very good, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Prigozhin happened to be in a private plane that was coincidentally struck by a fucking missile.
New details just into CNN about what Vladimir Putin was doing as reports emerged that a plane reportedly carrying Yevgeny Prigozhin had crashed.
Honestly, who didn't see that coming? Aircraft destroyed, Putin 1, Wagner 0. Let's face it, if you know anything about Vladimir Putin, you know his background, you know what he used to do before he got into politics, this was kind of inevitable. That being said, it's still jarring to see a pretty influential person straight up whacked in front of the world stage by a fucking rocket. Don't worry, Yevgeny, I forgive you for your attempted coup. Well, the SAM site determined that that was a lie. Putin awarding him for killing a traitor to the motherland. Some SAM operator who can't tell Russians and enemy planes apart. That meme would be a little funnier if there was a lower percentage chance that it was true. Russian General Staff. Hey, we need you to shoot down this civilian Embraer 600. Russian Air Defense. Finally, something I'm good at. Tasted and approved. Now, in the moment, while being asked about the incoming missile, Prigozhin said, and I quote, "No, they expect one of us in the wreckage, brother." CIA, we need to take this guy out, but we can't link it back to us, otherwise we'll get in trouble. The Russian FSB. Yeah, that's essentially what happened. Further exemplified, I think, in this next meme. CIA assassinations. Extremely well planned out, inconspicuous enough that 50 years later people still debate who the real killer was. Meanwhile, the FSB. Hey, shit-ass! Here's a fucking missile! Which just goes to show where the American military is a well-engineered scalpel, a precision instrument. The Russian military can be a sledgehammer. Which, now that I think about it, was totally unintentional, but is a really fucked up metaphor if you've been to the same places on the internet I have. One thing's for sure, Prigozhin should have listened to that lady on the plane and known that that motherfucker was not real. And that, I believe, is all the memes that we have for this episode. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for staying with the channel through all the craziness that's going on. I appreciate you guys staying to the end, and as always, I'll see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top.
I hate to have to talk about the whole, current Russo-Ukrainian war, but you know that Wagner crew, Jesus Christ. I hate to have to bring up the whole Russo-Ukraine war, but you remember that Wagner crew. I just did it again. My God.